You're staring in the mirror, pinching that exact same inch of belly fat that just refuses to leave. So you throw everything at it: waist trainers and fat-burning creams, and endless sets of targeted crunches. You leave the gym completely exhausted, absolutely drenched in sweat. But weeks later, that specific area hasn't shrunk a single millimeter. The reason those endless ab routines aren't working has nothing to do with your work ethic. It's because the workouts themselves are built on a biological impossibility. The fitness industry calls it spot reduction. It's the fabricated idea that you can isolate and burn fat from one area just by exercising it. Human biology doesn't work that way. Contracting a muscle does not command your body to pull energy from the fat cells sitting directly on top of it. Think about it. If moving a specific muscle burned the local fat, typing on a keyboard all day would give you shredded forearms, and chewing gum would carve out a razor-sharp jawline. Realizing that targeted fat loss is literally impossible is the necessary first step to actually changing your body composition. When your body needs to tap into stored fat for energy, it doesn't cull from one location. It pulls systemically, from everywhere, all at once. Let's look at this animated diagram of a swimming pool to see how this works. The liquid inside represents your total fat stores. Notice how the pool has a shallow end and a deep end. When you start draining a pool, the water level drops evenly across the entire surface. You can't scoop water out of just one specific corner. And as the level drops, the shallow end empties out completely, while the deep end is still full of water. Your body operates the exact same way. That deep end of the pool is your stubborn fat. Because you burn fat globally, isolating one muscle group will always fail against the biological rules of whole body energy depletion. So, who decides where your personal deep end is located? That comes down entirely to your individual DNA and your gender. Looking at this diagram, you can see the typical male pattern. The glowing data zones show where fat density is highest, usually clustered around the lower abdomen and the sides. This is an evolutionary trait designed to protect your vital organs. The female biological mandate prioritizes different areas. The dense storage zones migrate specifically down to the hips and thighs. On the flip side, almost everyone has biological shallow ends, usually the face and the shoulders and the arms. These areas lean out incredibly fast. You cannot negotiate with your genetic storage blueprint. You simply have to understand its timeline so you can outlast it. That timeline creates a massive psychological trap. It hits exactly when your face looks visibly sharper, your arms are defined, but that stubborn belly fat remains totally untouched. Because the one area you care about most isn't shrinking, it creates the absolute illusion that your entire regimen is a failure. It isn't a failure at all. Your body is just following its required order of operations. The deep end simply takes a slower timeline to drain. If you give up here, you are abandoning the entire process mere weeks before the systemic drain finally reaches the bottom of the pool. To actually reach that deep end, you need to trigger the only mathematical mechanism capable of forcing your body to keep draining its energy reserves. This animated diagram illustrates energy balance. You maintain a caloric deficit, meaning energy in is strictly outweighed by energy burned. Pulling back, this plots on a line graph as a slow, jagged, but consistent downward trend, just the unglamorous reality of sustained effort. Sustaining that mathematical deficit over a long period is the only switch that keeps the internal pool draining until the deep end is fully empty. So if a caloric deficit does all the actual fat burning, why do trainers still prescribe crunches and heavy lifting? It comes down to hypertrophy, the biological process of repairing and building muscle tissue. This operates entirely separately from systemic fat loss. When you do those targeted exercises, you aren't burning fat. You are constructing the physical muscle architecture that is currently hidden underneath the water level. The caloric deficit is the chisel that removes the excess fat. Hypertrophy dictates the actual shape of the statue underneath. If you stay in the deficit, you pass through the sequential milestones. Your arms slim down, your jawline sharpens, your legs tighten, and eventually, after weeks of discipline, the genetic stronghold has to yield. The deep end of the pool finally empties completely. Getting here doesn't require the frantic, panicked desperation from day one. It requires quiet, relentless discipline. Transforming your body is biologically simple, even though the wait is psychologically agonizing. Understanding the science ensures you never quit too soon.